Now, there are growing calls for Godongwana to steer clear of the Reserve Bank's contingency reserves to fund the country's growing budget deficit. The ACDP says any plans to raid part of the 497 billion rand would be a bad idea. Business editor Xolani Mbanjwa caught up with the ACDP MP Steve Swart ahead of the budget speech this afternoon.
It's a very difficult budget against the background of very low economic growth, and that, in our view, is due to a mismanaged economy with wrong economic policies. And, of course, the problems at Eskom with load shedding and Transnet with logistics. So how is the minister going to balance this budget? It's very difficult. He's already given an indication in the medium-term budget that there's about 57 billion rand over and above what was estimated in February that is a budget shortfall. So we are thinking that the budget deficit is going to come in higher than last February and higher than October. And this, of course, puts a lot of pressure on our finances, on the government debt service costs, which in themselves, when it escalates, they say 20 cents out of every rand goes just to pay and service the debt. It crowds out much needed expenditure on education, health, police, development. So we're expecting a very tough budget this afternoon. Obviously, in this election year, there's a lot of pressure on the minister, a lot of populist pressure, but in our view, he's got to stick to his fiscal consolidation path because this debt spiral is going out of control. What we are concerned about is speculation that he will dip into the gold and foreign exchange reserve contingency account at the Reserve Bank. This we cannot do because that is there as a buffer for when there are currency problems, when there's capital outflows, and when we had the financial crisis in 2008-2009, it formed a buffer. And of course, once you do it once, the next year you'll just dip into it again until there's nothing left. So we don't support that. What we do support is the fact that there are taxes that can be collected. There's a gap between what has been collected and what is owed to the reserve, to the SARS, and that's about 300 billion rand. If SARS was to collect only 10% of that, that's an extra 30 billion rand. And of course, as being the longest standing member of the Justice Committee, I always advocate for more funds for the Special Investigating Unit, the NPA, the Asset Forfeiture Unit. If they were given additional funds, they can collect the tens of billions of rands that has been stolen through state capture and corruption and that is sitting in overseas bank accounts. And that's a no-brainer to me. Give them more funding. We do not support an increase in taxes. Our households, our businesses are hard-pressed at the moment. Even an increase in the fuel levy will have a substantial impact on all of us as South Africans and, of course, the poorest of the poor. We do support an increase in social grants because people on the ground are struggling so much. But at the end of the day, you've got to have economic growth stimulus. You've got to have investment in the development in infrastructure and, of course, rectify the problems at Eskom and Transnet.